So this is how I think of the newspaper industry. And it was juiced on Google. It was deked. It was led off over here to chase numbers that made no sense. You know, God or Adam Smith created a system called currency that is really a good measure of value. And it works, and paywalls take us back to that. Will people pay you for something? Well, it turns out they will. Where the New York Times is at simply is it has plateaued. Now it's plateaued in a very good spot. 700,000 digital-only subscriptions, offered all access to its print subscribers, but it is looking for more. So Mark Thompson, its CEO, is talking about working an engagement curve. They've just started offering a 4-week mobile subscription. So right now, until this mobile subscription, it was, do you want to give me $210 for a year for a digital-only subscription or not? If the answer was no, they had nothing else to offer you. Now they have a 4-week mobile subscription. They're working on a need-to-know product, which is a skinnied version intended for people who also don't want to pay as much. Food and dining paid applications. This is launching us into the age of what I call paywalls 2.0. Okay, people will pay for content. Great revelation. This is wonderful. How much will they pay? And can we get them to buy other stuff other than one product, which is take the whole fire hose of a newspaper in print or online for one price or go away? Within 5 years, you're going to see publishers, old publishers, new publishers, offering lines of goods and services. Even TV. The Bridge is a pretty good new series on FX set in El Paso. They did a book. This is a TV, this is a cable TV. They did a book. Bilingual, Spanish and English. And they're selling it as an extension of the show. They're not just giving it away. TV's been doing a lot of promotion. They're saying this has value to these core customers. Just 2 weeks ago, Oyster announced that it was trying to be the Netflix of books. They've licensed 100,000 books, not a lot so far, but soon you can get access to these, primarily smartphone and then I think tablet, $9.99 a month, and aggregation of books. Aggregation of books, aggregation of movies through Netflix, Hulu TV, iTunes Music. And this has got to come soon. I've written about this now for 5 years. It's very difficult. News stories are not discrete, but we would like to have the world better organized. This morning in class, one of the students said, well, how could I get the Washington Post and the New York Times and a few other publications all in one place? We would like that. And he pointed out right away, well, the publishers won't like that. Well, of course the publishers won't like it, right? The music companies didn't like it. The movie companies didn't like it. The book publishers aren't going to like it. But it's going to happen. Flipboard is trying to do it on a non-paid basis at this point. We're going to see it. Maybe Jeff Bezos will be the one to do it. People often say, how long will I get 7-day delivery? And my answer is, how much are you willing to pay? So there's not going to be any ads in a Monday or Tuesday paper. They're going out anyways. That's why Advance got rid of Monday or Tuesday. But some companies say, okay, you want Monday or Tuesday. You know, your new price for a 7-day subscription is 30% more than it was, last year. You're essentially subsidizing a paper without ads. There's going to come a point where you're going to say, I like that 7-day, but I really don't want to pay $600 for a local paper and print, especially since I'm now using my tablet more and more to read. This is going to be a gradual progression, and what's going to happen is that Sunday is going to hang on longer. Smarter daily publishers are really investing in Sunday, and they're saying we're going to make this a special, different product. We're going to hold on to Sunday, and we're going to do exactly what the Times did and package Sunday in digital. Essentially, the new business model is much more complex and in formation as we speak. You got reader revenue, which you can call circulation in the old days. You got ad revenue. And then you got all these other things. You got marketing services where companies, both print and broadcast, are going out to small and medium-sized businesses and saying, this digital world is really confusing you, isn't it? Yes, it is. You need help with site building. You need help once people get to your site. If you're a furniture store or a car dealer, yes, I do. Just Twitter and Facebook, you know how to use those to generate leads. I could use some help. This is the biggest push that they're making. That's okay. Whoa, see, very good. Yeah. You get that on tape? It's okay. I'll be careful. Events business, the physical events business is booming, and a lot of companies are doing that. Newspapers, just like in the Old West, are saying if we have a press, newspaper publishers started out as printers. They were printers, and they would do newspapers then on the side. They largely gave that up because advertising was so lucrative over the centuries, really. But now they're going back to it. And now the thing is, if you have a press, you take in other people's work and you keep that press going around the clock, or you outsource, one way or the other. And then content marketing. And we talked about this in the Stratcom class this morning. Content marketing is huge. Many, many companies, national and local, getting into it and deciding that they are good storytellers and they're commercial storytellers as well as editorial storytellers. And they're selling their talents to merchants to tell stories. So let's talk about reader revenue here. Reader revenue is the biggest game changer in the industry, and it's fairly clear why. So these brands, you got Netflix, you got the Financial Times, you got a big paper in Germany, the Journal, HBO, Comcast, and Spotify. Same is true of Pandora. We look at media, we look at all of that change from analog to digital and physical to virtual. They're now all using, this is brand new really over the last 2 years, the same business model. And they're all saying to us, okay, you like your shiny new tablets. A third of Americans have tablets, a third of American adults. You like your smartphones, you're using your computer, you might still like print, you still got a TV in your living room, and you can call it a monitor, you can call it whatever you want, but you're watching your TV. What if we deliver our stuff to you on all of these things and we just charge you one price? And Americans and increasingly Europeans are saying, okay, I'll do that. But they're only doing it for certain things. And these things have to be good enough and unique enough. But let's look at the model. You know, whether it is movies, TV programs, magazines are big into this, Hearst, Time Inc., Condé Nast. It's all the same thing. A very simple customer proposition. They have relationships across the country with tens of millions of customers. If you talk about customer relation management, the lifetime value of customers, they've got that. And they have proven to themselves, they have surprised and shocked themselves of how inelastic newspaper pricing is. You can charge a lot more. One little truth we uncover in this, the same thing is true of magazines, is that these products were way underpriced for a very long time. And that a lot of the carnage of those 17,000 jobs that were lost in American newsrooms could have been saved if these kinds of systems were put in place earlier. But we can't go back. How does a paywall work in terms of the business model? It's what I call a 3% solution. When I described this to journalists at the beginning, they'd say 3%, that sounds like a bad number. That's a really small number, which tells you something about the financial literacy of too many business journalists. And I'd say, well, depends what the 3% is. What 3% of what number? So when you look at it, I'm going to go back here for a minute. If you look at the New York Times, for instance, New York Times has about 32 million unique visitors a month in the US. You multiply, let's take 30, multiply that by 3%, it's 900,000. And so I said when the Times wall went up, or their metered wall went up, I said if they could get to 900,000 at about 3%, that will be a very successful venture. And this is where the journalist said, oh, that's a small number. And I said, it sounds like a small number, but 900,000 just coincidentally is about the number of print readers they have. So even if you go back to pre-digital times and the time circulation was actually higher, it was always a small segment of the populace who paid for the New York Times. In local cities, it varied by percentage. It could be from basically 30 to 50% of the households. But it's always a minority of the households. The difference on the web is anybody can sit at a computer, type in a URL, and get something. So the fact that you have a unique visitor is absolutely meaningless. And I compare it to if you were standing in downtown Reno and the wind came up and the paper blew by and you caught a page. You know, would you call yourself a newspaper reader? Would somebody call you that? No. But on the web, if you type in a URL one time in a month, you're counted as a unique visitor.